1887, Alfred Bernard wrote, "There are only a few Scottish distillers that can turn out spirit for use as single whiskies, and that, made at Lagavulin, can claim to be one of the most prominent."
Hello everyone, Swati and Vinayak from the Jam Club. And in case you are wondering, we are not starting a book club, no. And the only reason Swati read it out from this book by Charles MacLean is because today we are going to review a whiskey that is Swati's favorite and that converted Swati into a whiskey enthusiast, aficionado, connoisseur, caller, whatever.
So today we are reviewing the Lagavulin 16. Interestingly, Lagavulin 16 was released as a limited edition whiskey, but it grew so popular and was so much in demand that it was made a part of the core range of Lagavulin 16, and in 1988 it also became a part of the classic malts of Diageo. Lagavulin 16 is so popular that the distillery runs 24/7 to fulfill the demand of this whiskey. So Vinayak, should we get to tasting the whiskey?
Of course. And since it's your favorite whiskey, I'll do the honors for you. That's a generous pour for you.
Yes.
So, Swati, before we get to nosing and tasting the whiskey,
Right.
why don't you share with us the anecdote, or why don't you share with us your first experience with Lagavulin 16?
Okay. So, I was trying to experiment with whiskies.
Okay.
Just to develop a taste.
Okay.
And honestly, I wasn't liking anything as much. It was almost when I was about to just give up. At an office gathering, one of my colleagues said, "Why don't you try this whiskey? You will end up liking it." And the minute I nosed this whiskey, not even had a sip, but nosed this whiskey, it was just very intriguing for me because it wasn't anything like what I had tried before. And the distinct smell of Lifebuoy, which I get in this whiskey, made me want to try it. And ever since I've tried it, I've been a fan of this whiskey.
I must say your colleagues had very good taste.
Yes.
Swati, now since this is your favorite whiskey, why don't you lead the tasting for this? So
again, the Lifebuoy note is very, very prominent for me.
Yeah. But isn't that peat more prominent than Lifebuoy?
It is. It is. So the Lifebuoy note is actually coming from the phenols, and the phenols actually come from the peat.
Right.
That is the reason why it instantly reminds me of Lifebuoy. But yes, it is the peat that is very, very prominent. But apart from the peat, what I'm also getting is very rich dates. You know, raisins and dried fruits,
which is
because of the sherry cask influence. I think even on the nose, this whiskey has a massive character, and it just invites you to take a sip of it.
So I think for me on the nose, obviously you get the peat, you get that. I'm getting a bit of cranberry sort of a nose.
Okay.
And if you were to smoke the strawberry, that smoke and the sweetness coming from those berries, I'm getting that. Without further delay, let's have a sip of this. Oh. Peat. Sherry.
Yeah, lots of peat, lots of sherry.
Chocolate?
There's chocolate, there's again dates I get. I mean, I feel like I can almost taste the sherry in the whiskey.
But for me that ashy sort of a note is overtaking the initial sherry or the dried fruit sweetness that you're getting. So for me, I'm getting that ash that becomes more prominent.
And of course, it is spicy because it comes from the influence of the sherry cask. So there is a lot of spiciness. That is
pepper.
Yes, pepper. There's also a little bit of clove.
Yeah,
cloves that you get. Interestingly, I can feel the dryness of the sherry in my mouth.
It is a drying whiskey.
Yeah,
I agree. But if you, and I'm just the sip. It's on the palate. The way the ash settles or the smokiness settles on your palate. I think it's a bit like having that honey glazed lamb. That sweetness from the honey and the smoke, along with that meatiness. I think it's an interesting note on this one.
I think I'd read once about Lagavulin 16 in some blog, and the writer said that this is one of those peated Islay whiskies which is more smoky than peaty.
Okay.
And that makes it like a lot of people confuse peat and smoke to be the same thing.
Of course, yeah.
So it is not as peaty as it is smoky. Like the smoke is very subtle. Yeah, it's not overpoweringly peaty.
So I think I wouldn't agree to that. For me, on the nose, there is definitely peat. It's not the smokiness. It's definitely the peatiness, and even on the palate. See, because also the peat influence you get more pronounced on the nose than on the palate. Palate mostly, like, if you try any of the heavily peated whiskies, let's say if it's an Octomore or Supernova, on the palate what remains is the ash or the smokiness, right? The peat you always get on the nose. So,
but that also got to do with the age. This is 16-year-old, so the peatiness sort of mellows down over a period of time as compared to a younger 10-year-old or a 12-year-old peated whiskey.
The Lagavulin 12-year-old, which was 2022 limited release.
Right.
I think the peatiness on that one is, if you compare it with this, it's a lot more it's a lot more peaty than a 16. So even they have an 8-year-old, which again the peatiness is way more than this one. But this, I think, again, the sherry and peat, as you have mentioned in the past multiple times, two very polarizing flavors. It's a very delightful whiskey.
Yeah. So what do you think of the finish on this one, Vinayak?
Oh. Finish for me on this one is smoky. I'm getting a bit of oak. And that, that slightly chocolate sort of a sweetness, like a dark chocolate sort of lingering on your palate. So mix of ash along with chocolate sort of a finish on this one. Very long.
Right. Yeah, I think for me also the finish is very long. I do get a lot of, there's a spiciness that is lingering in my mouth. Of course, the smoky and the ashiness from the peat remains. But yes, I think I get a lot, some chocolate, like you mentioned, dark chocolate notes. And again, that dryness of the sherry is still there for me in the finish as well.
Yeah, the finish is drying. I have to add to that.
Yeah. It is. So I think, I can go on and on about this whiskey.
Given what this whiskey offers, there is little surprise that this has again a very massive cult following.
Yes. I think a lot of people are like hardcore Lagavulin diehards and wouldn't possibly try any other peated whiskey.
Yeah.
So now that we've both discussed about this whiskey, what do you think? If let's say you were on a campfire, what would you pair this whiskey with?
If you were in a campfire, all you would want to pair this with is like meat.
Right.
You would want to grill something, but let's be more realistic. And I think if I have to pair this one, I would love to do it with a ran.
Okay.
That meaty and the spiciness, I think this would be ideal for that meat and spiciness that you get that ran has to offer you. So
I think for me the perfect pairing with Lagavulin 16 is a dark chocolate ganache.
Okay.
I think the bitter and the chocolate notes along with the smoky and spicy notes, I think it will make for a wonderful combination. So what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
For me, I think I would give it a 8.
Okay.
This is absolutely, it's a delightful dram. So.
Right. I think for me it's a 10 on 10. Not just because it was the dram that I started my whiskey journey with, but also because it's a very all-season dram. I think I've yet to come across a whiskey that has been able to balance two very, very polarizing flavors in such beautiful harmony that you are just left spellbound. So yeah, I think it's a 10 on 10 dram for me.
So that was our review for Lagavulin 16. And if you have tried Lagavulin 16, please leave your review or feedback in the comments below. Until then, stay safe and cheers.